Hi everybody, it's Miss Wilson. Today we're going to be reviewing something that you have already learned this year. So we're going to talk about nonfiction and fiction and what the important differences are. So you can see these pictures on the first slide are kind of giving you a clue. There's a real snake and a real toad. And then on the fiction side is like a silly monster and a dragon. So the pictures are showing you something that's nonfiction is real and something that's fiction is fake, or it's not real. It's made up by the author. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So what is nonfiction? The subject or what it's about is real. It's not made up, it's true. So the author writes about actual persons, places, and events. The writer may just report facts about something. The writer may also include some personal opinions, so they might tell what they think about what they're writing. And sometimes there's a mixture of facts and opinions in nonfiction. Okay, but the main thing you need to remember is that nonfiction books are real and true. Oh, also, readers must read critically. That means when you're reading nonfiction, sometimes you have to be thinking about your own opinion. What do you think about it? Okay, what is fiction? So the subject of fiction is made up. That's the most important thing you need to remember. It's made up. The author writes about made up creatures, places, and events, and also people. The writer many times includes personal opinion, so they include what they think about what they're writing. And the pictures are usually not realistic, so that's a big clue that you are reading fiction if you see drawings or illustrations that don't look real. And many times in fiction, animals or creatures may talk. That's another big hint that you are reading something that is made up or fiction. All right, so how do you know if something is fiction or nonfiction? So a first way to do it is to look at the cover. That's how we usually do it, how we usually figure it out. So this book right here is called The Unicorn Girl, and it's got an illustration of a mysterious looking character. So you can think about the title and the illustration and think, does that look like something that would happen in real life? Would there be a girl that would also be a unicorn? Probably not, as much as some of you would like that. So that is telling me when I look at it that it's fictional. It's not real. Yeah, that is fiction. Okay, another thing you can do is look at the table of contents. So right here, you can see an example of a table of contents, and it's got things. It says the introduction. Chapter 1 is called The Early Years. Chapter 2 is called Germany Takes the Lead. Chapter 3 is called World War II and Its Effects. So I can already tell that these chapters are talking about World War II and events that happened in history. So that is most likely going to be nonfiction. Okay, another way is you can look at the chapter headings. So this example in the blue box says Chapter 14, The Return of the Sea Monster. So you think in your brain right now, is a sea monster real or not real? And we know that a sea monster is made up. So that book is probably fiction. All right, here's a strategy that a lot of us like to use in my reading group is we look at the pictures or the photos. So you can see this example here is a real photo of a building. And so most likely the book is nonfiction. You guys are good at using that strategy. All right, you can also look at the illustrations or the diagrams. So in this one right here, you can see in the sky, it's got parts of the water cycle. It says condensation, precipitation, evaporation, and then there's some more little labels on the ground part as well. You can tell that this looks like it's from a science book maybe, and that it's showing you something that's real. So I'm going to say nonfiction on this one. All right, so on this one, it says look at the maps, timelines, or graphs. So usually if a book has those text features, it is nonfiction. But we can always look at the title of the graph. So this one says what we call our grandfathers. So it looks like some people voted in a survey, and here's showing how many people call their grandfathers the different names. Okay, so that looks like some real data, just like kind of what we did in math class when we were learning about graphs. So this definitely looks like nonfiction. All right, now it's your turn to look at some book titles and covers and think about, is it fiction or nonfiction? So the first one is showing you a book title called Under the Bridge Lived a Great Ugly Troll. So you think in your brain, does that sound like fiction or nonfiction? If you said fiction, you are correct. So we know that trolls are not real creatures, so that would be made up. The next one is a book cover, and the book title is called Aragon. And you can see there's a drawing of a creature on the front, and I've actually read this book. It's very good. I want you to think in your brain, does this look like fiction or nonfiction? And if you said fiction, you are right. So the creature on the front is a dragon, and of course, dragons are made up creatures. So this book is fiction. This is a timeline, and the title of the timeline says Events in the Life of Benjamin Franklin. You think in your brain, does that look like fiction or nonfiction? If you said nonfiction, you are correct. We know from social studies that Benjamin Franklin was a real person in history, and this timeline is just telling some of the things that he did throughout his life. So that is nonfiction. Right here is a book cover, and the title says, Who Lives Here? Desert Animals. So you think for a minute, is it fiction or nonfiction? This one is a little bit tricky because there's an illustration on the front, not a real photo, but you can tell from the title that it's probably going to be giving facts about desert animals. So it is a nonfiction book. The next one is a diagram of the moon phases. So think about, is this fiction or nonfiction? All right, so this one is also nonfiction. The moon phases are real. Of course, we can see the moon in the sky. We know it's real. And this diagram is a text feature you might see in a nonfiction book about the moon. All right, so again, if you're looking at a book and you're unsure if it's fiction or nonfiction, these are some hints to help you out. You can always look at the cover, which is what we usually do. Look at the pictures or the photos. Look at the illustrations or diagrams. Look at the maps, timelines, or graphs. Look at the chapter headings. Look at the table of contents. All right.